I would go between 2-a-day football practices, 2-3 hours in the morning. I'd go to the golf course, hit golf balls all day. If you want to be a champion, you got to train like a champion. If you love what you do, the hard work comes easy, right? Your body's going to recover faster, which is going to allow you to practice longer, which is going to be able to work on your skill better. I respect that you're a boxer, but this is my job, and that's what's standing in front of me. Can you teach me golf in English? And I was like,
how's a water buffalo?
This is a Buff Talk.
3, 2, 1. Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Old School Matt here. We are back with another Buff Talk, and today we are joined by Aaron Dexheimer. Aaron Dexheimer is a professional golfer who coaches many different athletes across the United States. Without further ado, I want to introduce our boy, Aaron. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
hey, thanks for having me, man. I much appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. So actually, I've been following Aaron for a little while now. He's got a very particular and interesting name on Instagram. It's called Surfingolfer. If you guys haven't seen him, check him out there. So I guess we'll just start off the podcast with that. Aaron, where did you get that name from?
So the funny thing is I grew up in San Diego, California. I was born in Alaska, moved here with my mom when I was like 5. So, I've lived here my whole life, we'll call it. But I was all sports athlete growing up, didn't even pick up playing golf till I was about 14 years old. So it was baseball, basketball, football, BMX racing, all the things. But when it was summertime, it was mom would take me to the beach and just drop me off 7:00 in the morning. And we'd take surfboards, take boogie boards, and we'd stay in the ocean all day at the beach, and she'd come back and pick us up. So surf was definitely, or ocean, should I say, was definitely something that's always been part of my life. I mean, we got surfboards all around the house right here, and golf clubs. That's awesome. And once I started playing golf, it was time to go to college, and my mom's like, "Hey, you got to get an email." And so this is 1998.
Okay.
She's like, "Hey, you need an email." So I was like, "Hey," it just rolled off my tongue, Surfingolfer, and it's stuck with me ever since.
Yeah. Is that what you're like known as in like the, I guess, golfing circle / are you like part of any part of like the surfing industry in California?
No, I mean, I just enjoy the ocean, and that's like, if everybody releases to go play golf and get away, of the people, I guess, that I'm around, my release is to leave the golf course and go to the ocean, go surf.
Gotcha.
I surfed this morning at 5:30 before I went to work at 9.
That is awesome. Yeah, I'm from South Florida, so the surfing down here is pretty big, I would say. But I mean, the waves over here are nothing like Southern California. Obviously, I've never surfed really. I mean, I got on like a little $20 board when you go to the beach for like a family vacation, but that it doesn't work. But interesting thing you were talking about. So you're saying when you're growing up, you did a lot of surfing. Obviously, you played a lot of golf. What kind of got you into golf? And obviously, that's what you're known for. You're, I would say, a pretty higher level coach for many people. For those of you guys who don't know, Aaron is a coach for Canelo Alvarez. I'm not too sure who else you coach in terms of other people that aren't in the golf industry, but that's a bigger name that many of our audience might find.
So my start to golf was different, right? Like I said, I started out, I was baseball, basketball, and not so much basketball. I love basketball just because I was athletic, and but I was football, baseball, rode BMX, competitive BMX for like 5 or 6 years. I did all the sports that you could imagine. And I actually started playing golf one summer. My father lived in Alaska. He was a commercial salmon fisherman. Gotcha. So I would go up there with him from the time I was about 10 years old is when I started going back in the summers with my dad. I'd go for a month. Sometimes I'd go for 3 weeks. And then as I got older, about 13, 14 years old, when I got, matured into a body that was strong enough to actually physically be able to do the work that was asking me, and became like getting a fair share of money, I started going, and my dad would go golf on our off days, and I didn't golf, and I would just go ride my mountain bike in Alaska because there's so many places you can go. And one day I was like, hey, I want to go to the golf course. And I remember I got there and I just pulled out a driver. And my whole goal was to hit it over the back of the net. It was like 250 yards. It's still there. It's where I learned to play golf. And I just got hooked the first day. So I went every day with my dad after that he wanted to go. And fast forward like 3-4 weeks later comes my 14th birthday, or 15th birthday, sorry. And I said, Dad, I want to set a golf course for my birthday. And he's like, really? So he's like, yeah. So I got some. And then I came back to San Diego and I was like 2 months into playing golf. I was playing football at Patrick Henry High School. We played football with Ricky Williams. And I would go between 2-a-day football practices about a half a mile down the street. There was a golf course. So we'd work out for 2-3 hours in the morning. I'd go to the golf course, hit golf balls all day, go back, get the second football practice in, and then go back to the golf course. And that's just kind of how I started. And it was like no instruction. I just kind of learned on the fly, but I got the passion for golf was so heavy that, I football practice golf. And within 6 months, I was ready to like commit full time to it.
That's awesome. I was going to follow up with one of those questions. And you're talking about when you first started playing, you said you weren't the best, but you had that passion, that dedication towards playing golf. Is that kind of what took you to become like pro status, or did you kind of find your groove along the way? Like, did you have to really work to become pro, or was it kind of easy? And then when you got there, it was a little harder?
I would say like, I definitely, growing up in Southern California, these kids start super young and they play tournaments from the time they're little kids. And for me, starting out at 14, you get thrown into the fire in these big cities. It's like, hey, you want to be a golfer? All right, you better practice. But I found this like I've always been the super, if I find something, I'll work hard and I'll practice all day, or I'll figure out how to get better. I read books and I would just go to the golf course and, figure out how to get it done.
Yeah.
And, my whole thing was after like 6 months of playing golf, I came to a head of, I really liked golf, but baseball season and golf were in the same season. And I, unfortunately, but fortunate for me in my life now, is I got myself in trouble in 10th grade with a little bit of bad citizenship grades. And I remember the baseball coach said, hey, you can't play varsity this year. I was like, all right, cool. So I walked in the locker room, turned in my jersey, said I quit. I said, I'm gonna go try out for the golf team. So I walked in the golf coach's office. I said, hey man, I played golf for 6 months and I could break 40. Now, shooting under 40 in 9 holes, it's not very good. But for someone who'd only played golf for 6 months, I remember I told him, I said, I can make the team and I'll play it and work as hard as I can. So I went and played with him and he's like, you played golf for 6 months? I said, yeah. So we had like 2 or 3 more months to practice before the season started. So I just went every single day and practice. And so I went, made the team, played a couple junior golf tournaments, made a city first team, then made all CIF team my senior season. And my whole goal was, I want to play college golf. And if you don't start playing for years before you get to like the recruitment process, I mean, these kids are getting recruited at 13, 14 years old, committing to these schools. And I just started playing golf. So I wrote every single college, like, hey, this is who I am. This is how I started. Please watch me. Everybody was like, hey, you're not good enough. You can't do this. Now, I always thought I was good enough, but I had no tournament experience. So as I kind of progressed and started to do good, we came to this tournament called Junior Worlds, and I almost won. I mean, at the last round, I was like tied for the lead at one point. And the next day, all the schools that I had written letters to had sent me letters. Hey, please come play Division I college golf. So that's how it started. And that was basically my drive. And once I got to that point, then, professional golf became something more, which was way bigger of a gap to practice towards. But you basically got to play Division I. You don't have to play Division I, but it's a huge stepping stone, because that's when you see all the best players that you're going to see make to the PGA Tour playing Division I golf. And so my whole goal really at the start of golf was, I want to play Division I golf, get a golf scholarship, and see where it takes me from there. And then once I had made it and realized, like, shoot, I could play with these guys, that's when I just went full throttle on it.
Got you. So did you play Division I golf, or you didn't play Division I?
Yeah, I went to school, University of Nevada, Reno. I was super fortunate that the coach, Tom Duncan,
awesome.
Offered me a scholarship, because like I said, I played like 12 tournaments against these kids that were going to Division I, but he saw something in me, and I got a scholarship to go play there because I played in this tournament. And now we're playing with guys like Adam Scott and Aaron Badley. And if you follow golf, Adam Scott won the Masters.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Aaron Badley's won many tournaments on the PGA Tour. Now I'm playing with these guys, and I played in the tournament, beating them, and on top of all the other names from Southern California that were, going to these high-level schools. So I got to go there, and I went there for 2 years and was super fortunate to be there. And it was a little too cold, and unfortunately, my mom got really sick when I was in my second season, and we had a very good team, but my mom got really sick and she passed away with cancer. And my sister was in her freshman year of college, and she was an extremely smart student. And she called me up, or I think my dad called me up and was like, "Hey, your sister's like really struggling, with your mom being sick." And my sister, to give you guys understanding, my sister is the type of person to take AP classes and A every single class for all of high school, and she almost failed out of school. So I called my dad. I said, "Hey, I'm going to transfer." And he's like, "Where are you going to go?" And I said, "I'm going to go to school with my sister." Now, we were ranked like inside the top 15 for the season at Nevada. I transferred from there and went to the worst college golf team in Division I. We were 117 out of 117.
What school was that?
Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
Okay. I've never even heard of it.
Cool. It's like in the middle. It's like about 100 miles north of Santa Barbara.
Okay. Got you.
So basically in the middle of the state, but it was cool. I went to school there. Like I said, they had just started the program. We did the damn thing, from flying to tournaments and planes to driving in vans. And
that's awesome. So you finished out schooling at that school?
Yeah.
So I might be a little bit ignorant because I'm not in the golfing industry, but is Southern California or California in general like a hub for people that want to play golf? Is that like the spot? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Southern California produces some amazing talents just because you have so many people. I would say like Southern California, probably Florida, Texas are huge spots. There's a lot of good kids that come out of Washington, but like if you put it all together, like Southern California, it's definitely, there's tons of kids here.
Interesting. I actually used to play golf when I was little until about 7 or 8 years old. I was actually pretty good, but I switched over to baseball. So funny little story. I don't really play golf that often. I do it once in a while, like for fun, but it's definitely an interesting sport. And that's before we hit on this next topic, real quick, just want to jump into your pro career, because obviously that's something that not a lot of people get to accomplish. So after college, did you go straight to going pro, or how was that?
Yeah. So after I finished college, I got I got a few sponsors exemptions to play on the Canadian tour, like right when I finished college. So I went and I did that, and with not like too much success, to be honest. Like I played probably like maybe 15 or 20 tournaments and made like half the cuts, and was always kind of like realized quickly, like, all right, you got to be a lot better. And I wasn't the type to like miss the cuts by 100, but I missed them by like 1 or 2. So it's like it became frustrating. It became hard on me, and I never had a sponsor, so I would always do it with, like I was talking about, I was out of pocket. But as I was telling you earlier, I fished with my dad in the summertime.
Yeah.
When I got to being after college, my dad gave me the fishing permit and said, "You can have this and run it, and it's all yours, or I'm going to sell it and it's gone." So I said, "Hey, I'll take it." So what I would do is I would go in the summer from June, July, and half of August and fish and make as much money as I could. And then I'd roll it all year to see what I could do. And I mean, I did that, and it got me a long way. Let's just say I never had a credit card debt when I decided to stop playing professional golf. I had money in the bank, which is cool. That's awesome. But it was a hard way. But I took a break in the middle. I took a break from about the time I was 20, 25 or 6 to 30, not 29. And that's kind of where I wasn't sure where I was going. I would just go fish in Alaska and come home and maybe work at the golf course and caddy for some guys. And I just was kind of just screwing off and not really applying myself in golf. But then one day I was just like, hey, if you really want to try, you got to go get yourself ready. And so I played the Canadian PGA Tour Canada. I went to Q school 3 times. I never made it to the finals. I played every single state open mini tour event you could think of. I don't know how many tournaments I've won, maybe 30 mini tour events, but I did all right. I could have done better. Looking back, sitting in the position I'm at now, obviously as you get older, you always grow and think, dang, I could have done something different. I always thought everything was bigger than it was. And, not asking people for help or trying to do it by myself maybe was a hindrance because I would think about, the money. But it was fun. I mean, I learned a lot of lessons from it. I made a lot of great connections and good friends. And I'm fortunate enough now to still teach quite a few professional golfers, guys that are good, play on the Korn Ferry Tour. I haven't teach anyone on the PGA Tour yet, but my guys are going to come soon.
Yeah, interesting.
I teach guys that play on the Korn Ferry Tour. I teach guys that play on PGA Tour Canada. I teach a couple of mini tour guys that are just amazing. Teach a couple of college players that are really, really good. So I'm still super involved. And I think, my insight on what I've went through is it just helps all the guys that I teach.
I was going to say that usually the best coaches are the coaches that kind of struggle themselves and kind of figured it out when they're doing their own thing. That's interesting. I wanted to jump back on a point though. You said you fished a lot. You commercially fish for salmon, I think I saw.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
How was that?
So basically where we fish is it's in the Cook Inlet of Alaska. It's before you get to Anchorage, which is the biggest city in Alaska, right? There's a body of water that the Pacific Ocean turns into the Cook Inlet, right? It goes into Catchment Bay, then it turns into the Cook Inlet. And so we fish 8 miles south of a river called the Kenai River, which is world renowned for king salmon fishing. And from the time that I was, like I said, maybe 8 or 9, I would go to this Alaska with my dad, and we'd stay at the beach. My dad bought a trailer. My dad had a house there, but the beach that we fished at was like about 30 miles from where we lived. So it was cool. He would take me to the beach, and we had a trailer and we had everything. We weren't slumming it down in the tent, but we would just fish, probably every other day, based on what a fishing game let us do. And that taught me everything that I've learned in my life. It taught me about, hard work, dedication. You got to understand that when it's time to go, it's time to go. And one of the main things that my dad used to always ask me when I was a kid is like, he'd always push me to think like, hey, if we do this when we fish, what's going to happen next? You got to be able to see what's going to happen next. And you can't just do what you have to do. You always got to do more, stay in front of what's going to happen next. And that's what I always ask my friends is like, hey, what's next? So if you do this, what's the cause and effect to it? And I remember as a little kid, I was about 9, he used to ask me, and I go, I don't know. So I went home and I would think like, what's he asking me? Oh, he starts asking me about which way the tide's going. What's the negative? Where are we going to catch these fish at? And so I answered him the next year. And then that was when I kind of really evolved as like a fisherman. And it taught me everything, man. Hard work is something that just lives inside of me because of that time in Alaska. I mean, I've went 6-7 days where you sleep maybe two hours every other day.
Yeah.
And it's great. You can't, the only way you can get that is to experience it.
Definitely. I mean, I've never commercially fished like that before. I've been on a couple of times where I've done commercial fishing with some buddies of mine who've done it. It takes the fun out of fishing sometimes, but you still kind of have to keep those traits of, or not kind of, you have to, the patience and the long hours and the sun. I mean, I don't know if it's sunny in Alaska when you're fishing or in the summer, but
the sun in Alaska in the summertime, it never goes down.
Really?
So it goes down at about 11:30, maybe 11:45, and it comes back up at about 3:00 in the morning. But it's never dark. Like, it's not dark like where we live. It's like dusk. It's dusk. So the sunlight gives you a lot of energy. If you've never experienced it, you can't really understand. But like, staying up for 20 hours is not that hard when the sun's out. Now, if it were the middle of winter, it'd be a whole different story.
I've heard that before. I mean, obviously, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I didn't realize that the summers are longer, the winters are longer too. I've heard that you guys get like only a couple hours of daylight.
And my dad used to tell me when I first took it over from him, and he always asked me like, hey, how much you catch, how much money you make, what's your bottom line? And I used to only answer him based off of money. And he used to always tell me like, hey, you only do it for the money, man. You don't do this for the joy of it. And I used to always say, well, what else would we do it for? And now I haven't done it in the last 3 years because I became so, let's say busy with teaching golf and some of my clients and traveling around that, unfortunately, I don't have that opportunity to take 3 months out of my life and go to Alaska anymore. I have a 9-year-old son. I have other obligations, which I've put myself in, which I'm so fortunate for, and I'm thankful. And, the fishing regulations, but my dad used to tell me, hey, you only do it for the money. And I'm like, no, that's not true. And I'm like, yeah, he's right. He's telling the truth. But now that I sit here, it's like, hey, I wish I could just do it again, not for them. And that's when I realized, to me, like, dude, all these things that I understand about, what I've learned from that. That was the biggest thing that I take from commercial salmon fishing.
Interesting. And do you like to fish on your own, like recreationally? Do you guys have that around there? No?
What's funny is all my friends in San Diego have boats, and they go tuna fishing out in the ocean and stuff. And I've never been a pole fisherman. I've never been a guy that wants to go out and catch them on a pole. And anyone that is, it's great. But I am someone that will, like, hey, my boy's got a boat. Let's go. I love the ocean. I love the water. I've grown up sitting in the bottom of a boat in Alaska, spent more hours there than I couldn't even try to add it up. I surf. I live, out my window, I live right on Mission Bay in San Diego, California. So I'm as ocean as they come.
Got you. Have you ever been to Florida?
I have. I actually went to Miami in February for Canelo's last fight.
Okay, cool. I was there. I think we were talking about it earlier. But going back to the whole golf thing. So after you did your time, you said you did 7 years of professional golfing.
Yeah.
7 years. So after those
I did 7 years where it was like really solid, like steady, like, and I was going for it. And I just, I got to the point where I was like, I remember I traveled like 40 weeks the last year. I like missed making it to the next stage of Q school by a couple shots. I bogeyed the last hole on the Canadian tour to lose my card or not be able to play the last tournament. And it wore me out. I took like 50 something plane flights in a matter of like 4 months. It was insane, the amount of travel that I did. I went to every province in Canada. I went to half the states in the United States in this short period of time. And I just came home and I was like, all right, this is not the end of the world, but I think it's time to find a different way.
Yeah. When did that stop for you?
It was like, it was 2013 at the end of the summer. Okay. It was like August of 2013.
So since then you're a coach for that golf course you work for, right? The Dell.
Yeah. So 2013 hits, I stopped playing golf. I don't really even remember what I did for like the next 6 months. But fortunately, I've put myself in such a good place of my networking and have amazing friends that care about me and stuff that, a couple of guys that were corporate sponsors of mine that used to help me were like, hey, I know that you stopped playing golf, but like, do you want to just come down and caddy for us? They were playing in the PGA Tour event in Palm Springs. It's like 2 hours away. They're like, hey, we'll pay you for the week. Just come caddy and hang out and enjoy your time. Come be with us. All right, cool. I'm in. So I go down there and I show up and they're all at dinner. There's like 8 of them. And I know all 8 people sitting at the table. I've played golf with them all. And, they're all chatting like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, I stopped playing golf. And one guy goes, hey, I wouldn't mind if you give me a couple golf lessons. I'm like, sure. Yeah, I'm down. I've studied golf. Obviously, I taught myself golf without much of instruction. Towards the end of my playing career, I had one of my very, very, very good friends helping me out a lot, and I've had plenty of my friends helping over the years, but I studied golf and I always used to pay attention to what everyone did when I was around them. I'd listen to the coaches, talk to the other guys when I wasn't putting in the time on myself. If I was done working on my game, I would listen to the coaches. And I always used to study because I'm like, hey, you can always get better, study. So one of these guys goes, hey, I wouldn't mind taking a couple lessons. And he's like, I remember he says, I'll pay you $100 an hour. And now you got to remember at this point, I hadn't played golf. I haven't made much money. And I'm like, shoot, all right, okay, I'm down. Let's do it. And so I was like, let's do 2 hours. So the first day I go up to their golf course where they live about an hour and a half from us. I teach him the next week again. And then the next week when I go, another guy asks me. And then all of a sudden, a month after that, I'm teaching 8 guys in one day. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, oh, I could do this. And it became so fun to me because now it goes back to that, like, now I get to work hard and challenge myself in a different way. But hey, I'm at the golf course doing what I love. And I could see it's great, when people improve and when you help them. And so I started doing that. I started driving up to Rancho Cucamonga. I would drive to wherever someone wanted to go. And I was like, I need to find a steady base in San Diego. And I'd already been caddying at Del Mar Country Club. And it was just kind of perfect timing. They were looking for someone else. No one really taught much golf lessons there. And when I went there, I was like, I told the head pro, I was like, I'm going to do as many lessons in 3 months as all the guys did the year before. And I think he said that I did it. I think he said I did it in like 2 months. I gave like almost 200 lessons in 2 months or something. That's close nuts. To that. And so it's just teaching golf to me as from where I started to where I'm at today. It's amazing because I love my job and I love what I do. And I get to help people be better at golf. And I mean, if you find a job that you love like that.
Definitely. That's an awesome career to have because you can continue your desire for that, like that field. Like, obviously, I don't know if you ever plans on returning back to the pro scene or probably not.
No, that's, that I never like to do anything where you don't put in the effort, because if you don't put in the effort, you can't expect the results. Sure, you can expect the results, but you should never get mad if you don't get them. And I don't like all the pro guys that I teach and all the people that I teach, I tell them one thing. It's like, if you don't work hard, your expectations should be low, but my expectations are for you is high. So you better work your ass off and make it happen, because, if you want to be a champ, you got to train like a champ.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. It's exactly how it rolls.
And I would
get out what you put in.
I would even say that your hard work in all the years of golf may not have blessed you to be like a Tiger Woods or like the best golfer in the world, but like you were saying, you have trained. You said at one point you had 200 clients. At one point,
well, I did a couple hundred lessons in a couple months period.
Got you. But like even that, and now obviously with the people you're training now and the connections and the stuff you're doing now, like your hard work paid off. Maybe not in the way that you thought it would in the beginning, but it paid off. And probably, I don't know, maybe now you see it as better because you can spend more time with your son. Maybe you're not as occupied as you would be if you were like the best pro in the world or whatever, because I know it takes a lot of traveling and whatnot. But it's awesome. And to hear your story and be able to inspire people out there who maybe, like you said, when you first started, you weren't the best golfer. You not technically sound from when you were 5 or 6 years old, but throughout learning, and that's something that I love to do too, is like, give yourself the knowledge. If you're not the best, the only equalizer for you is knowledge. Knowledge is power. If you don't have the genetics or the dad who taught you when you were 5 years old, you have the power to access a bunch of knowledge. There's so much stuff on the internet, books and whatnot nowadays, that there's no excuse for you not to at least be the best version you could be. I wanted to ask you this question as well too. So as a golf coach, obviously the main, or maybe not obviously, but for me, if I'm looking on the outside in, golf, the game of golf is the number one priority when you're teaching someone how to play golf. But is there anything extra that goes into golf, as let's say for a football player is the weight room? Is there anything like that, in terms of fitness that kind of goes in with golf?
I think are you asking if fitness in golf is that kind of the question that we're talking about here?
Yeah, kind of like because nowadays it seems like back in the day, like athletes were afraid of working out and getting big. You know what I mean? Like baseball. Yeah, like when I played baseball, even then, which was only like 5 years ago, when I was in high school, 6 years ago, we were told, don't work out too much, don't get too big. You want to be able to be flexible, mobile. And now I have friends of mine who are going and playing Division I, some in the pros, and now they're asking me, hey, dude, like my trainer's, not pushing us enough. How do I, put on a little bit of size or whatever it might be. Nowadays, it seems like people are starting to transition into, getting the athletes more in the weight room. And just out of curiosity and for the viewers who are watching this, who are into fitness, and hopefully some of them, I guess on your side, who are into golf, can kind of mesh the two fields together. Do you do any of that stuff for your trainees?
You know what? I think that, I'm not a fitness trainer. I have plenty of friends that, I go to a gym up the street that used to be World's Gym, and I'm around a lot of people that are in the bodybuilding scene or the fitness scene. Yeah. But I'm not a fitness trainer, so I send anyone that asks me to someone who is. to help them with it. And, there's tons of people.
Yeah.
But now, if you look at the guys on the TV, on the PGA Tour, all of them might not be, aesthetically buff. Some of them are, but all of them, for the most part, now are in shape. You don't see those sloppy looking guys. None of their clothes are looking bad. They're not stomach hanging over. Everybody's trying to work hard to be in shape, because I think anyone coming from a background of athletics like myself, I've always tried to stay in shape, right? No matter what, because I understand, and people never understand this, sometimes the harder you train your body and work out, you're not particularly going to get bigger. You're going to get hell of a lot stronger.
Definitely.
Right. And I think a lot of people see that. It's like, oh, I don't want to work out because I don't want to get too buff.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, like, I'm 6'3", 213 pounds today. I work out with my friends up the street at the gym, and I work out heavy all the time. And I'm not putting on size, but I just get really strong and I get leaner. People don't understand that. You're not going to always get buff. That requires a lot of eating, other things too. You got to eat a whole lot to gain muscle like that. You're not just going to look like the bodybuilder that you see down the street because you work out for 3 months. Yeah. But if you stay consistent in your body and you're continuously working your body into good, physical health, guess what? Now all of a sudden golf's going to become easier, because why? You're not going to get hurt, right? Your body's going to recover faster, which is going to allow you to practice longer, which is going to be able to work on your skill better. When you feel better, your mind's going to work better.
Definitely.
And at the end of the day, your mind is the most important muscle in your body.
Yeah.
And so when you train your body well, it's going to make you want to eat well.
Yeah.
When you eat well, then you think well.
Yeah, definitely.
And people don't put all these things together, but that physical is huge.
I think nowadays, thank God that we're learning, and I think that's why athletes are getting so much better in certain ways. Like, there's so many different kids that are coming, not kids, I say kids, people my age in their early 20s that are starting to learn this, and they have the genetics, and then they also have the knowledge to go and start training, get on a regimented diet and all this stuff. So I'm excited to see the outcome of the athletes we see in the next 10 years. But kind of backtracking to the whole golf thing, I know golf is extremely mental, and I want to talk about that as a talking point as well. And how you talked about when you're working out, you're more inclined to eating healthy, and eating healthy, obviously, well, maybe some people don't know this, but eating healthy actually not only impacts your muscles and the way you're going to grow, but eating healthy and almost in that like bodybuilding or fitness lifestyle type eating actually helps your cognitive function as well. And on the golf course, isn't that like most of the game is mental? That's what I've heard. And
that's huge. Like, I mean, you got to think about it in terms of not just golf. Like, let's talk about all sports. Yeah. Right. Like, you could talk about any sport. You think about the quarterback for a football team, his brain's got to be as clear-minded as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, feeding yourself healthy food, healthy thoughts, working out, making your body function properly so that you can be fully focused on what you're trying to do is the goal, has to be. And if because you're working on your physical, your golf game, that's cool. But if you're not also working on, your mental side of it, you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that is absolutely the strongest part of your body, is what you believe. And it becomes routine, and you start to, see things build as you work on your body, work on your health, work on your fitness, right? Work on what you're eating. And your body functions so much better. Your brain works better when you eat healthy food.
Definitely. And what would be like the drawback of too much muscle in golf? Just not being mobile enough?
So if we think about this in terms of what are the most strongest flexible athletes, are gymnasts, right? They're big, but they're flexible. So I always say, like, hey, if you can be flexible, be as big as you want. Yeah. Like, you see those gymnasts, they can bend.
Yeah, they're jacked.
They're jacked, though. They're big. Yeah. So they have to, muscles don't make you strong. You can be big, but that doesn't mean you're strong. But the most of the time, if you got muscles, you're probably going to be stronger than someone without them. So I always say, if you can be as big and as flexible as possible, that's only going to benefit you in every single way. Like, if we talk about guys on the PGA Tour, you go play golf at your home club, if you're a golfer paying attention to this, you play golf at your home course, the fairways are short and the rough's about like this long. So you hit it, you don't hit it in the fairway, you just hit it over there, then you just hit it up on the green. Now, when you play on the PGA Tour, the rough's about like this, 3.5 to 6 inches every week.
Shit.
So when your ball goes down in there, if you're strong and your forearms are strong and your shoulders are strong and your back is strong and you can rip through that grass with speed and it doesn't impact the way you hit the ball, you're at a huge advantage now. Now, who's going to do something like that? Something like that. Someone that's skinny or someone that's got muscles.
Yeah.
So that's why we see a transformation on the PGA Tour. We got guys like, Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson and Bryson DeChambeau. These guys, Dustin Johnson's a little leaner, but he's a super strong guy. Brooks Koepka, he's kind of got that more physical football, player build. Bryson DeChambeau, did a huge transformation on his body. We're gained like 40 pounds. He was eating like 4,000 calories, deadlifting, squatting, like straight up bodybuilder movements, but still working to make sure that once he did put the size on, his body would function that way. And the dude just destroyed the U.S. Open last year. He didn't hit many fairways, and it used to be you win the U.S. Open, you hit the fairway, don't hit it in the rough. He's hitting it in the rough every single hole because he can smash it out of the rough with an 8-iron and get it up on the green because he's strong. And I think that's what you're going to start to see is these guys getting bigger, getting stronger. I mean, we see it in all sports, right? You see football, baseball. Those guys are huge now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's only going to make the games more interesting and better. Like, I mean, just logically speaking, the stronger you are, if you know how to transfer that strength to power and that power to whatever ball you're hitting, throwing, kicking, it's just going to make the game faster, more interesting, more, highlights are going to be seen with home runs and whatnot. So it's awesome to think about. And kind of like talking about fitness and all this stuff. I know you have a fitness challenge out there. It's called Beat Dex. Obviously Water Buffalo and people are watching this know that we're a fitness brand and whatnot. So definitely check out Aaron for his new fitness challenge. So tell us about that a little bit and what you guys got going on over there. You said it was a golf team that has it going for you.
So one of the so I stopped drinking alcohol about 16 months ago. I don't really talk about it too much because that's just my own thing. And I was like, going through life kind of, as some of us maybe all do if you struggle with drinking. And I was like, hey man, this just isn't going to work, man, because if you want to be what you want to become, you can't take this along your ride. You can't, because you can't show up for the people in front of you that expect the best from you. So I looked in the mirror and I started talking to myself and I said, all right, it's about time that we bench this and try a different route. And so what happened was I went like 2 months and I was like kind of still going. I wasn't drinking, but I stopped. And I remember like finding, I didn't work any programs. I just worked my own way. And 2 months goes by. Like, all right. 3 months goes by. 4 months goes by. Some time starts to pass. And all of a sudden you start to see these things happen, right? And in a positive way. And I'm just like, all right, I can't turn back on this now. So I meet all these amazing people. Like I started having more success. The relationships with people are so much more connected. And I'm starting to see like, hey, all right, cool. I did this. And it became something that was so much bigger than what I had imagined it to. So at the start of this year, I said to myself, all right, I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm living inside of my head, one person, and I'm looking at myself and that's not the person that I saw. So I said, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I got hundreds of my friends are fitness coaches. I called up one of my friends, Ryan. His name's Collie Fit on Instagram, if you guys want to check him out. And I said, hey, how much is it for 4 months? And I had my Venmo out and he says, this price. Boom. I sent it to him. He's like, oh shoot, you weren't kidding. I go, let's get to work. And so I started working with him. And the first month, maybe 3 weeks goes by and I'm going like a couple times a week to the gym because sometimes I got to work at 8 to 6 or 9 to 5, or I got to take my son to school and then I got to pick him up from school. And I'm like, all right, what can I do more? Just as much as I think I'm working hard, right? You can always do more. You can always find more. And I started reading this book, and it's actually sitting somewhere around here. I don't even know
What's it called?
This book right here. I started reading this book, and I just said to myself, if you're going to miss days because you don't have time, where do you have more time? And I said, you don't need to sleep that long, so get out of bed earlier. So I said to myself, I'm going to wake up at 4:00 in the morning tomorrow, and I'm going to wake up every single day at 4:00 in the morning until it becomes a routine where I don't need an alarm clock anymore.
You still do it?
I still do it to this day. Even if I go to sleep at 2:30, I'll wake up at 4 a.m.
You take naps?
And no.
You can't. You got a son.
I can't. Like, so the first week or two, oh boy, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
You learn quickly. You better go to sleep earlier.
Yeah.
Or you better be productive with those times, when you're not working or you're not working out. So I started waking up at 4 a.m. and I get to the gym by 4:30. 2-3 weeks goes by and I'm like, man, this is brutal. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but I'm going to keep waking up. And I remember reading in this book, it just said, hey, as soon as you wake up, put your feet on the floor and stand up.
Yeah, that helps.
That was my whole thought process. As soon as you wake up, put your feet on the floor and just walk around in your house. Even if you're walking, there was times where I was walking around just going, what the hell is going on? But you're going to eventually be awake, and then you're going to go and you're going to do what you needed to do. And so I just started posting a couple pictures on the internet, like on Instagram, how we all see somebody post at the gym. And I started hitting it at 4:30 in the morning. And I did it for 5 days in a row. And all of a sudden I get all these people like, dude, what did you do different? What did you do different? And I'm like, nothing. I just figured out I got to make more time. And if more time requires me getting out of bed earlier, then I'm going to do it. And so this is like a month or two goes by, and my friend on the Golden State Golf Tour, all of a sudden 4:30 in the morning one day, boom, hits me with a tag. I get 3 tags in a row, and it's beat Dex challenge. And then the next one's beat Dex challenge. Here's the rules to the challenge. And it's like, beat me 3 days to the gym before me, and you'll be entered into a contest. And he didn't even call and ask me. I just saw it, and I was like, all right, I'm about it. So I'm like, I texted him back. I'm like, I'm at the gym. I'm going to call you at 6:30 on IG Live. Let's go IG Live and talk about this. So I changed it up because I thought about it during my work, and I'm like, it's not really fair for someone who works a job, like say you're a bartender or you work in a restaurant or something, because we're just trying to help people, inspire people to be better, right? Hey, you saw what I did to make myself better. Let me help you. But if you work these times, you can't beat me at the gym. So I said, listen, keep it simple. If you go to the gym on a consistent basis, post. It was never about prizes. It was never about anything. So we started this, and we were just like, hey, maybe a couple people will post with us, and we'll rock it out. Well, next thing you know, it goes about 6 days, and I'm like, Nick, not many people started, and I got Canelo to get on it with me.
Yeah,
I got someone else to get on it with me. Got a couple other athletes to get on it with me, and then I started calling people out. I'm like, all right, fine, we're gonna do this for one more week, and if you don't want to pay attention, I'm gonna call you out. And then you call 3 of your friends out. And then those 3 people call 3 of their friends out. And next thing you know, I wake up one morning and I'm like, what the heck? I got like 200 people tag me. And I can't repost all these. So if you're watching this podcast and you see us, I'm sorry, I didn't repost it. But so I'm like, holy shoot, this is rad. So I call my friend Nick and I'm like, dude, this is amazing to see what we've done. And then my mind just started going. And I'm like, all right, all these people are calling me, sending me these text messages, things, right? And I'm like in the beginning, I'm like, hey, I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm just a golf coach. And then I started thinking, don't limit yourself. I'm not trying to sit here to motivate you. But hey, if you're looking at what I'm doing and that motivates you, okay, let's go. I'm going to go with you, right? And it got to a point where so many people were about it, and it was so organic that it was rad that these brands and companies started saying, hey, we want to donate to you so that you can give things away. Now, we gave away a couple of hats and some sun sleeves that you wear if you play golf. I mean, those sun sleeves can work for anything. We gave away a gas gift card to start. But we had all these companies, so we're going to do it round 2. And I started thinking to my friend Nick, my friend Nick and I started thinking, and we started talking about it like, hey, we're going to sell some T-shirts for money. We're going to donate every single dollar that we make. I'm not keeping anything because this ain't about me. We're trying to help everybody. I get to pick whatever it is because my name's in it, which is totally rad. But I started thinking, what do I want to help first? I want to help those kids in San Diego that don't have the opportunity because maybe they don't have enough money to play in these golf tournaments. So whatever we make to start, we're going to donate to kids. So, hey, you can go play golf this summer. You want to play in a $20 golf tournament? Here you go.
Awesome.
Right? We're gonna get a golf tournament together down the road where we raise money. We're gonna donate it to some charities and really like try to blow this up. Right now, I got you and I connected.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? You're gonna talk to your people.
Yeah.
Then they're gonna start talking to me. Then their people are gonna, and it's just rad because this is not for me to say, hey, check out Dex. No, the people need to understand. This is for me like, hey, check out. If this helps that one single person out there decide that, hey, maybe I'll just try this and change their life. That's what it's all about. And I got some messages that I'll share with you because I had written to my friend Nick. I'm like, man, this is so cool to see these people writing us. And I said, I never imagined this. And he's like, hey, if we could help one person that thinks that they're in the worst place and maybe they don't want to live anymore, then this is all that matters. And I said, that's exactly right. 30 minutes later, I get a DM from this random person that I don't know. You know what? I was at a point where I didn't think that I maybe wanted to stay around any longer, but I saw you guys working, doing your thing. And I can't thank you enough for helping us. And I screenshotted that sent him. He goes, maybe that was just for them. Yeah. Right. And it's like the power that people have, and you never know what people are going through. And like, we went like 2 weeks with it, and I'd already worked out for about a week and a half without taking a break. And I went like towards the end of it. I had ran with Canelo like 3 days prior to the end of it at the nighttime. And then I went and ran again like 2 days later. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it 2 more days. I was so tired. Yeah. And then I'm like, shoot, now I got all these people tagging me. So I got to get up. So now they're helping me too. And that's what it's totally all about, man.
That's awesome.
It's about making people think, hey, you think you're doing as much as you can? Because as soon as you start thinking that, you know there's more. We always need to do more.
And honestly, dude, like I've been I used to get up around 5:00, 5:30 when I was up in school, because I'm actually back in my hometown now. I'm almost graduated, but because due to the pandemic, I'm back at home finishing out my degree, and then I'm gonna move back to wherever in Florida. But I used to get up around 5:30. That's a good time for me. 4:00 is a little bit too extreme.
Which is fine though. That's good.
A little too early. But I kind of fell off of the whole early morning phase, but people have been throwing it back over to me. I mean, I still get up before 7:00 every morning. I'm not someone who sleeps until 9:30 every day or whatever. But yeah, you guys have been motivating me. So all the water buffaloes watching right now, old school Matt's gonna be back on that early morning grind. I'm gonna get up tomorrow morning and hit the gym because I got to go fishing tomorrow. I was gonna sleep in, but you're telling me you're getting up at 4:00. That's a different breed right there. Do you take any caffeine or anything like that?
You know what's funny is before I go to sleep, I make a water bottle with BCAAs in it to take to the gym. I make a protein shake, put it in the fridge, and I literally wake up, start walking around, lay out all my stuff in the morning. That way I'm not like, bobbleheading around the house. I just put my clothes out. I just put them on, drink my protein shake real quick, and go to the gym. I don't drink caffeine until after I get home, because I've always been the type, like, and I think it goes back to my commercial fishing days, that look, I don't know why I say this, because I don't know if I totally believe it sometimes, but like, tired is a state of mind, I think. So if you trick yourself into saying, hey, I'm not tired, because I used to have to do that when I was younger, like, hey, I'm not tired. No, I haven't been up for 3 days straight. Yeah. But my dad used to always say, hey, you could do it. You could do it. You could do it. So I'm like, hey, let's just get up and go, right? And get to work. It's because whatever you want in your life, if you work hard for it, you might not accomplish, like you said, I worked hard, I didn't make it to the PGA Tour, but that doesn't mean that it didn't teach me something.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And that hard work is what it is. I don't drink caffeine in the morning before I go to the gym. I'll have a cup of coffee or two after I get done, just to get going. But
Well, a low side note, because I do want to hook up with you guys on the challenge, give away some of our stuff. We make a pre-workout, so I'm gonna send you a couple, and if you do need some, you take a little scoop in the morning.
Hey, I'll try it.
That's what I do need, the little bit of caffeine in the morning, just because I feel like I think I lost you.
Hold on, I'm coming back.
There you are. But yeah, man, I mean, like you were kind of circling back and kind of wrapping up this podcast, go full circle. I always tell this to everybody. You might work your ass off, and I have a lot of friends out there who are trying to make it in their own areas in terms of like sporting and whatnot. And sometimes you can tell when someone's not going to make it, but you never know that maybe they won't make it as a pro, right? Maybe they won't be the next big, baseball player, football player, whatever. But your story can inspire people because now you're golfing with, some of the, would you ever have imagined you're training Canelo Alvarez as you're like his golf coach, right? I would say.
All right. I'm going to share this story with you.
Yeah.
This kid, so I've taught him for about a year now. Prior to that, he had started playing golf about 5 months, 6, 7 months before he met me. And he used to come to the golf course, and I asked him in Spanish one day, I'm like, hey, do you speak English? And he's like, nah. I'm like, okay. I would always say hello to him in Spanish. How are you today?
Do you know who he was?
I knew who he was. Of course I did. I'm a sports dude. I used to just be super nice to him and say, how are you? Are you ready? And he always says, always. You working? Always. That's what he always used to say to me. Yeah. We never even had a conversation. One day, he's hitting balls. He's got a golf coach with him, and I don't really pay attention to other people too much. Yeah. And I never really paid attention to him. Just because he's Canelo Alvarez doesn't mean that he's any better than the person standing in front of me, because that person is the person paying, right?
Yeah.
Sure. I respect that you're a boxer, but this is my job, and that's who's standing in front of me. So I never differentiate between that.
At the end of the day, we're all human beings. So if you're with somebody training somebody, their attention is more your priority at the moment, unless you have a God that you believe in, then maybe that would be more important. But anybody else on this planet,
this is going to go into this story right here. So I had a break, and I used to watch him hit balls a little bit, and I just looked out of the side of my eye, and always paying attention. If I see something and I have time and I'm watching, because you never know who's going to ask you, hey, can you help me? So one day I'm standing on the range talking to one of my clients, and I wasn't teaching him. I was just over there. And I seen him walking towards me. And he walks up to me and he goes, Dex. I'm like, what's up? Everybody calls me Dex. I go, what's up, champ? And he goes, can you teach me golf in English? And I was like, of course I can. And I go, when do you want to start? And he goes, you tell me. I go, give me your phone number. I'm going to look at my book and I'll text you back. Cool. So I texted him. I'm like, I'll see you tomorrow at this time, 2 hours. He shows up, and I was stressed out all night because I'm like, how am I going to talk to him? He doesn't speak English. Yeah. And he shows up, and I'm like, hey, broken ass Spanish that I have. Yeah. Telling him, hey, I'm going to try to talk slow. And he goes, don't worry, I speak English. Like, come on, man. He's like, I just say that so that people don't bother me. So we literally had zero conversation, him and I. We went 3 days in a row, 2 hours, 6 hours straight. All I taught him was golf. Nothing else. Didn't ask him a question, nothing. So we go months and months and months on end, and we've evolved our friendship into so much more than just a golf coach. But he told me the other day, he's like, look, man, he's like, you know why I chose you? He's like, I saw what you did. I paid attention to you. I see and pay attention to everyone around me because I have to. That's been my life. Yeah. He goes, but you showed up on time. I seen you at the golf course. Every time I came there and every time I left, you were there. When you were teaching someone, you never paid attention to me. You didn't care that I was standing right next to you. You never would look at me. And he's like, I'm not saying that in a bad way because I'm Canelo Alvarez, but everybody caters to focus on me. He goes, I saw the passion. I saw the drive. I saw the dedication and love that you had to doing what you were doing. And the only person that mattered was the person standing in front of you. Yeah. And I was like, come on, man. He goes, that's why I love boxing. He goes, I have everything that I could have ever dreamed of at this point. But this kid still, I call him a kid because if once you get to know him, he's just a 30-year-old guy who absolutely loves boxing.
Definitely.
And he says it all the time. If you want to be a champion, you got to train like a champion. If you love what you do, the hard work comes easy. And he gets up the same time. He doesn't have to wake up at 4 a.m. because he makes his schedule. But he goes to the gym every single day, 10 a.m. Works out till noon, spars during training camp, takes a shower or whatever he does from 12 to 12:30, drives to the golf course and comes with me from 1 to 3. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, plays golf Friday, Saturday.
That's awesome.
Like his training camp consisted of boxing and golf. It's unbelievable because when we first started, I wasn't sure. I was like, damn, I don't want to be the guy to mess up this guy. And now all of a sudden, because he's about golf, and he's like, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I'm good. And now he told me before he left, he's like, golf is part of his training camp because it helps him release his mind. But he still shows up and puts in the work on the golf side of it, just like he does his boxing. He leaves no stone unturned. He's gotten so much better at golf just because of the way that his mindset works.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like anyone watching this who probably knows who Canelo Alvarez is, I feel like since he's been in the game for so long, like he started being a boxer when he was 15, a pro boxer when he was 15, that you evolve so much. And that's why I try to tell younger people out there, if you really love something, get in it as soon as you possibly can. Like I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur when I was growing up. I go to one of the best schools in Florida, one of the best accounting schools in the USA. I'm never going to use my degree. I'm continuing to grow my business. The biggest regret I have was not starting earlier. I'm sure with you, with golf too. I mean, you did start at an early age as well. 14's early, but you still in your mind say, what if I would have started at 12 or at 10 or at 8 or at, you know what I mean? If you can take the initiative and take the step, it's starting early is always the key because you become a master at your craft. And then someone like himself, what other boxer during training camp is able to go and play golf 3 or 4 times a week? Probably not many, you know? I feel like
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to watch. Yeah. And you learn so much more from your failures. And that's like kind of what you're getting at. If you'd have started earlier, you could have failed earlier and you could have grown faster. Right? Exactly. Right. Very few of us are going to be the guys like, let's say Canelo, LeBron, Steph. These guys don't seem to fail very often, but the failure is not what drives them. And the success is not what drives them. They are just driven. They get it. They wake up and they just go all the damn time. It's like, it don't matter. Like it doesn't matter. They fight, they train. They win championships, they train. Right?
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant, that dude worked out in the middle of the night and he worked himself to the point where he broke his body. But that's just what these athletes do because his mind only knows one way. And it's, work as hard as you can every single day, no matter what you succeed at.
And we all got our own specific paths. So we know, I think everybody really knows within themselves what they want to do, but some people are afraid to express it. Some people are afraid to go after it. Maybe because of money, maybe because of someone else looking down on them for doing something. We all know what we want to do. It's just finding the courage and finding the drive, like you were saying, to do it. Some people have more drive than others, but I believe that over time, if you continue to work hard, kind of circling back again to what you said about, cutting alcohol out of your life. I don't cut alcohol out completely, but from going from a kid who used to drink every weekend, I maybe drink alcohol once or twice a year in the past 3 years. It takes a lot of extreme measures, but like some people, or it's like someone told me one time, to do great things, you have to take great sacrifices. So sometimes it takes a little bit of giving to get a lot back. Sometimes it takes a lot of giving just to get a little bit back. But anyways, Aaron, this has been an amazing podcast. It went a little bit over time. I hope I'm not inconveniencing you in any way. It's been an amazing conversation. I can't thank you enough for sharing your story. I think your story, not only with all the stuff you do in terms of, coaching so many people and helping so many people out there in Southern California, starting this challenge and trying to help people that are less fortunate, always trying to give back. I think your story, your personal story, it motivated me. I know it motivated a lot of people that you worked your ass off for golf. And maybe like we were saying earlier, you didn't make it to the PGA. You weren't, the next Tiger Woods or whoever, Jack Nicklaus, but you have built something so strong that has brought you so many different connections, so much different happiness in life that I'm sure you wouldn't want to change this for the world.
I look back on, someone asked me a question the other day, like, hey, if you could go back and change anything, would you? I like, no. Why? Why? Because where I sit today is only a product of what's happened. And it's just only with the way that I've, dealt with what's happened makes me sit here today with the understanding that I have. And every single day you learn something more. And that's kind of like the way that I look at it. If something bad happens, all right, good. What are you going to do to get better about it? Yeah. Something good happens, all right, cool. How did you get there? How could you be better? Yeah. It's always that mindset, and it's taken me a long time to get there, man, to be honest with you. Yeah. Right? I'm 40 years old. I obviously don't. I wish I could learn things faster, but I can't. And I can't look back and be bummed about what I didn't learn fast enough.
Yeah.
It's just, how can I be better right now?
Definitely.
Because right now is only going to help me for tomorrow. Because that's it. All I have is right now.
Exactly. But real quick before we head out, Aaron, I just want you to plug up your social media so everyone from Water Buffalo can go give you a follow. Everyone on Old School Matt, my personal account, give you a follow. I'm sure they love the story. I got a lot of personal buddies that will watch this because they really enjoy golf. But where can everyone check you out at?
So my name is Aaron, Aaron, last name Dexheimer, Dexheimer. You can follow me on Facebook, and my Instagram is Surfingolfer, Surfingolfer. I say it all the time, Surfingolfer, 1G.
Definitely, but yeah. That's why that email didn't send, by the way, because I put surfing with the G and then golfer.
Hey, yeah. 1G always.
Yeah, 1G.
But hey, I want everybody to. I hope that our talk, maybe made you think a little bit. That's what it's about.
Definitely.
Thinking. But I want everybody that pays attention to this, I ask you guys, please join in on the next Beat Dex challenge, because with all of us, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. It just grows huge. And we're just trying to make sure that, we help those people that need a little push. And Definitely. Guess what? The people that you might think don't need a little push, they need a push too, right?
Listen, I'm gonna do the challenge with you when you start it. I'm gonna do the early morning workouts again. I've been not that I've been slacking. Like I said, I don't really slack, but I kind of push my workouts towards the end of the day now. But I'm gonna restructure the whole workout and throw it in the morning. I don't know about you, but I at the end of the day, I perform the best in the gym when I'm working out in the afternoon, but my days always go best when I work out in the morning.
I feel the same way too. I can lift more. I can work out harder after I've put 3 or 4 meals in my body.
Yeah.
But my days are so much more productive when I do it in the morning, because I know that I started and my body is on fire now. My mind is on fire because I've got my mind thinking. Yeah. Right. And now it's just like, hey, whatever gets thrown at me, I'm going to handle it. And I don't have to worry about going to do that work at the end of the day. It's like, okay, got more time. What am I going to do with that time? Am I going to study golf? Am I going to read some books to learn how to be a better person? Am I going to take my son somewhere? I'm going to teach him. Right. The more time you can give yourself is the best thing you can possibly do. Time is the only thing that really, really matters.
Yeah, that's at the end of the day. And you guys watching the podcast, you guys will know we talk about time all the time. But anyways, Aaron, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm sure we'll stay in contact a lot. But for Aaron Dexheimer, I'm Old School Matt. That's another Buff Talk. Thank you guys for watching.
Later, guys.
Hey guys, thank you guys for checking out this video. Make sure to go check out all of our other podcasts, Buffalo Barbecues, our Buffalo Workouts, and also a slew of other things, including challenges and whatnot. So make sure to check out all of these different things. Thank you guys for watching. I am Old School Matt here, and this is Water Buffalo TM. Peace.